absolutely thrills me because living my life today, I'm an ultra distance runner and I'm
Yeah.
out there in the nature and everything, and I bring with me all the time. And when I bring him, I could just feel him with me and the
Wow.
joy that comes about that. But
Wow.
it's tapping into, we get so caught up in this world right now, is so caught up in all the stresses, all the overwhelm, all the politics, all this, all that, that if you just let that go and get out of your head and get in your heart and speak to your and feel your energy, feel your own voice that's deep inside of you, what a gift to give to everybody.
You said so many things that I would love to like unpack more.
I know, right?
One thing is like the running too. It's like I that the running and like being in nature, those are all ways to get tapped in. Like,
Act, yes.
and we all have these passions and these desires, and they're all like unique to each of us. And like that you're able to have that part of your journey is so powerful and amazing and inspiring because it's something so special, like to be
Yeah.
able to have that as a part of your journey.
Welcome. I'm Karen Bonnett-Natraj, your mental fitness and peak performance coach. I'm founder of the Mental Fitness Edge and host of Running Strong Mind Body Connection. Today's conversation is one I've been genuinely curious about because in mental fitness work, I talk constantly about that inner world, the mind, the emotions, and the stories we carry. But today we're going to go even deeper into the unseen and unexplained and the experiences that remind us that there's so much more to this life than we can even measure. So my guest today is Christina Malavenda. Did I say that properly?
Yes, it's Christina Malavenda.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. An Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, a
Yes.
spiritual author, podcast host, and one of the most beautiful open-minded explorers of the mysteries most of us are afraid to talk about out loud. And your book, Get Tapped In, follows her search to understanding messages she believes she received from the universe. She co-hosts The Curious Soul, exploring past lives, auras, time, and spiritual connection. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation. So Christina, welcome to the podcast.
Karen, thank you so much for having me, and you are amazing. And I'm just so happy to be here talking with you today.
Yes.
So thank you.
So your book, Get Tapped In. I
Yeah.
love that. I really love that. And I hope people who are listening to this hear this. So what does it mean to be tapped in?
It,
And was there one specific moment or experience that made you realize something bigger was communicating with you?
I think that we all have this opportunity to get tapped in. We all are intuitive. It's just about how open-minded we are to it and how much we pay attention. And even the people who are skeptical and may not think that these certain connections to something bigger might be in their wheelhouse, everybody always has at least one story. The thing is that for me, my whole life, I always felt from a really young age, like younger than 7 years old, I felt like I was connected to something bigger. It was this knowing. And so I was always open to the messages and the signs and the synchronicities that were happening in my life, but I just didn't understand what it meant. I knew it was something connecting, but I just didn't understand the meaning. And so I was always like, what does it mean? What does it mean? And not until about a year ago, when I was going through a really hard year, did all these little puzzle pieces start to fall into place where I decided I wanted to start to figure out what it meant. So I put in a book, I wrote a book that's about all the experiences in my life and trying to figure out what they mean. And then that led me to the podcast, which is just going deeper and exploring more with all different types of people and having all these different types of conversations.
That is beautiful. So, and I think I love the fact how you discovered that when you were young. I did too. I discovered that there's something different out there. There's something deeper out there, but I didn't have a family that supported it. And so I believe we are all on our own journey, one way or another. And it's when we tap into or when we come to that turning point in our life where we get to that deep, I guess, pain point is where we change and we open and wake up.
Yes, you have the choice. When
Yes.
you go through something really hard, do you say, screw it? Or do you say, I'm going to lean really deep into this and try to understand or learn from it. Like what is the that's what I call it the universe, right? Some people call it God, some people call it different things. And do we decide to see what maybe the universe is trying to teach us and how we can grow and how we can learn from these really difficult moments in our lives and how they're placed there to teach us, to help us grow. Um, and I hope that the book allows people to look at their own lives and see those connections and how that we're always being guided. And so these messages and these signs are just a form of guidance and to show us that, like, even though the path that we're on may not feel like the right path because of those obstacles, and it's not necessarily what we want it to be, it is part of it's a part of our journey. It's part of our process to become the person we're supposed to be.
Right. Well, it is part of our process, and it is about making choices, and it's about taking those times in our lives when we can make that choice of screw this and they go the other direction, or what is a possibility here. And what I teach is that in every situation or circumstance, there's a gift or opportunity. Always. And if you look at that and you embody that, it's at that moment, what is the opportunity of whatever I'm going through right now? So what
Yeah.
were the signs for you? How did that intuition come into you? What were the signs for yourself?
I'm going to try to think about a couple. And you also mentioned something that I'm absolutely curious about too, about you and you saying like family or people around you, like supporting you. Because again, there's a lot of people with varying abilities, very like we're all intuitive, but it's just how much we're tapped in. And it's just fascinating that there's such a spectrum of families where you either are supported or people are trying to hide it, like for various reasons, right? Maybe they're trying to protect their children because they feel like some people out there might view them a little bit differently. But I have so many. I'm just trying to think of like which one. Okay. I have always felt a deep connection to my grandfather, and he's the reason that I went on this path. It was already part of my journey, right? But when he died, I was 12 years old. And when I walked into the hospital room and saw him already having passed away, this deep feeling of peace came over me.
Wow.
It was like a euphoric feeling. It's very hard to describe, but it was
Right.
something that I knew was spiritual, that he was in a good place, that we were connected, that he was communicating to me in some way. And I just didn't understand like really what it was at that time. And as I wrote the book, I started to understand like what that meant, right? At that time. And I had felt that feeling one other time when I thought about myself and my existence. It's that like sacred connection, right? It's like basically through writing the book, I realized when people talk about near-death experiences and like past life regressions, they describe the similar feeling, right? That similar feeling of peace and love and joy. It's like all the good feelings, right? So I knew that I was getting messages from him after that, and he would show up in different ways. Like I'd be at a party in LA, and a medium would come up to me saying that she needed to talk to me because somebody was trying to communicate with me.
Oh,
And then
wow.
we would figure out that it was my grandfather, and
Right.
he was sending me a message. Same thing happened to my grandmother. She was at a party in Mexico. A psychic came up to her and was like, "Your husband's trying to talk to you," right? And for me, it's not just one-off like experiences, right? But it can be a one-off experience for me if I look at the collective voice. So let's say you have one experience, somebody else has one experience, another person has one experience. Together, those one experiences to me start to be a pattern. But for me, my grandfather coming through in all these different ways for my whole life. And you can ask for a sign. I've asked for signs and they show up. And I could tell you one of those with my grandmother when she died. But what happened was a year ago, I went when I just learned about my intuitive coach. She's amazing. Danielle, guidance by Danielle. She, the first thing she said is that has your grandfather, your dad passed away? And I started laughing. And she's like, no, has one of them passed away? But I was laughing because my grandfather's coming through right away. So I'm just like, of course, you're looking for that confirmation, right? You're always looking for that confirmation, that validation that it's true, that these messages are some substance. And basically, the point that she said a couple things. She said, one is that he's sending you messages. And I said, I know. And she said, he wants you, you're not paying attention. I said, yes, I am. And she said, at the end, he wants you to figure out what it means. And at the time, I didn't understand. I was like, okay, well, yes, I know that caught my attention because I've always been asking, what does it mean? What does it mean? But I didn't know how I would figure that out until 6 months later, after I'd had like grief, loss after loss after loss, and something broke in me. Did I realize I needed to write a book about all my spiritual experiences? And I like meditated and I saw the source he had given me when I was 10 writing a book. And I was like, oh my gosh, there it is. He's continuing to communicate with me, and this is the path that I'm supposed to be on. And so it just evolved from there. It's like I was already on that journey. I was already going to move in that direction, but I was getting these subtle guidance, these messages because I was paying attention. I was listening. When I learned about my intuitive coach, I got goosebumps. And she's been this like amazing supportive person. So when you pay attention to those goosebumps, when you pay attention to those like visualizations you have,
Right.
or there's all these ways to tap in, like whether it's meditation or um, dreams, or like even things like tarot and like Reiki. It's just all these ways that we like start to put the pieces together and start to understand the way that things are happening and what our path is, and we can heal. That's the thing. This is like there's so much with this. There's so like
Right.
I'm trying to like figure out the pieces
Right.
to say because I could go down so many rabbit holes. But like what I've really learned is like because my thing is like just having these conversations about how we're all connected. But the thing is, it's like there's so many ways that we can heal through all these different modalities,
Right.
and for just
Right.
paying attention.
This is pretty fascinating. I know my podcast is Running Strong Mind Body Connection because I've honed in on that mind body, the spiritual side, whatever. And our journeys are different. I came from a very toxic family, but I had this deep knowing of happiness. I had this
Yes.
deep knowing that got crushed because when we're in that type of environment, and a lot of people are, and a lot of people aren't, but when we're in that type of environment, we're influenced by the chaotic and the traumatic experiences that now I have to go through that myself to finally wake up to where. So my journey was to take me into that toxic, that horrible situation to make that choice. And it's at that moment, am I willing to make that choice? And I did. And it's just
Yeah.
been just fabulous.
Wow.
And because I'm a completely 360-degree person that I was never, I was a complete waking up.
Yeah.
But I always believed in the intuition because I always had this knowing, and I always knew that there was something deeper in me. And I had a coach take me through a past life regression. I
Yes.
guess that's
Yes.
what you want to call it.
Yes, it
And it
is.
just absolutely thrilled me.
Yeah.
So this person was a little boy. He lived in Russia. He lived hopeless. He lived but in his soul, he had dreams and he had aspirations. And I believe he died young. I'm an actual connection to his soul. And this could be interesting for my podcast listeners, but it absolutely thrills me because living my life today, I'm an ultra distance runner and I'm
Yeah.
out there in the nature and everything. And I bring with me all the time. And when I bring him, I could just feel him with me and the
Wow.
joy that comes about that. But
Wow.
it's tapping into, we get so caught up in this world right now is so caught up in all the stresses, all the overwhelm, all the politics, all this, all that, that if you just let that go and get out of your head and get in your heart and speak to and feel your energy, feel your own voice that's deep inside of you, what a gift to give to everybody.
You said so many things that I would love to like unpack more.
I know, right?
One thing is like the running too. It's like the running and like being in nature, those are all ways to get tapped in. Like,
Correct. Yes.
and we all have these passions and these desires, and they're all like unique to each of us. And like that you're able to have that part of your journey is so powerful and amazing and inspiring because it's something so special, like to be
Yeah.
able to have that as a part of your journey.
Right.
And I like your story about your past life is so fascinating because there's so many questions that I have about it. Like, what was your regressionist saying about that experience? What did you end up like pulling from it besides the love? You also talk about, and I want to talk about that more, but you also talk about the knowing. And I think that like there's so many different ways for us to be intuitive, and one of them is knowing. There's other ways like
Right.
visualization. Some people smell, some people have dreams, some people hear things. So and I'm sure you can tap in all these other ways, but is there anything else that you learned from your regression,
Mm,
you think?
I think the timing and being open and curious to hear that was amazing for myself. But and like I said, I've been on this journey since I was in my 30s. So it's
Yeah.
been 40 years or so. And it's the curious of the universe and the curious what's out there. And I read all these books and I read all this. I truly believe the first book I read, so this was quite a few years back. The first book I read was there was a statement in there that you're absolutely right. It was just right for me and it just hit me was I picked my parents.
Yeah.
And I picked my parents. We all pick our parents. And then I'm curious about the siblings, but I don't know if I need to go there because I'm an individual in that family dynamics and I picked those parents and I did that. And when I read that, I picked them for my own
Growth.
well-being, my own growth. And on that path, and then I go back and learn. I'd love to learn more about that boy. I don't know how long ago it was in life because in the universe there is no time, it's just
That's
open. It's just
another rabbit hole.
the human mind we have to have time. Okay, well, time's up. We got to get off this podcast. We're so linear. We just so but if we
Yeah.
open up into that, it's just I would love to feel into that no times, no space, no nothing. And I followed Dr. Joe Dispenza on that a lot with that too. But we have such potential, and you said something too, because I know we're gonna come close to this. We can heal ourselves.
Yeah.
I have believed that to the depths of my heart that we can heal ourselves because my basis on that is how many hypochondriacs are out there
Yeah.
that make themselves so sick. But if we can live to our fullest potential and to the health of our own body, how powerful would that be?
Amazing.
So
It's
116 was my first limit. And now it's like 120, 130, 116, 120, 130. Those are
amazing.
years.
It's amazing though. And it's like just like it is the mind too. It's like our minds are so powerful. Sometimes like right now I'm really trying to learn surrender because I like to control everything. And so I think that if we could just like let go, it could help us in so many different ways. I was a soccer player and I would always just get in my mind and it would
Mhm.
screw me up,
Right,
you know?
right.
And if we just let it go, not think about it too much, but it's hard. It really is like a muscle that you have to
You're tapping into exactly
exercise.
what I teach because it's the mental fitness side of it. And as we build up the mental muscle and change our whole neuroplasticity in our brain from being in that fight or flight or being in the prefrontal cortex when we're in that empathy circuitry. We can rewire that. And it takes like these little daily throughout the day practices of just bring yourself back to the present moment. You only have to do it for 10 seconds. But
Yeah,
how much are you aware of all those thoughts that are going on in your head? We're not aware because it's such a habit.
it's
And
awareness.
we are on that reactive mode all the time. And through mental fitness and through that practice is taking it to the present moment just every hour or something for just 10
Yeah.
seconds. And what do you have? You have your body and you have your breath to be just bring your focus to the present moment for just 10 seconds. And if you keep practicing that over and over and over, you rewire your brain. And I found myself, I'm less in that reactive mode and I'm more in the present of responding. Sage perspective, which is in the empathy, the curiosity, and any situation is a gift or opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
It's the meditation. I started meditating 6 years ago. It's like the best gift I've given myself is just
right,
to
right.
calm that down. But we are beings with spirit. It's so we have to, yes, we could tap in and we could do all these things, but we have to work on all these different aspects. We have to,
Christina, I want to challenge that. Aren't we the spirits in a human body?
yes, exactly.
We are the spirit. We're,
Yeah.
we're an essence of
Empathy.
soul in this human
Yeah.
experience. And Joe Dispenza talks about that. And I'm reading a book right now, Proof of Heaven. It's really a neat book. It's about a neuroscience guy. Science is all about science, and he didn't believe in this spirituality. And he had a near-death experience and came back and just says, what do we have? What is it going to take in your life, people who listen to this, to change you, to wake you up, to step into your soul and your intuition?
I think that it's opening ourselves up to the possibility and not just like throwing it away. So here's the thing, you can ask for a sign from the universe, from somebody who's passed away, from whoever. The thing is that sometimes it doesn't come exactly when you want it to, right?
Right,
There's not that like for me it was really hard because again, controlling, right? So it's like you want things on your timeline. But sometimes that sign will show up when you need it
right.
at that moment. And that may be a year from now. But try asking for a sign and just like let it go and see what happens. And that's like one of the fun ways to play around with the possibility of our connection to the universe. And it could be like a butterfly or something, but it has to be something undeniable so that when it happens, you're not just like, oh, well, that's a fluke, right? So for me, the spider is my sign. And it's always been there, I realized. But when I like it came into my life, and there was one time where I hadn't seen one for like, let's say a few weeks, and I go, hey, universe, bring it on. And my friend sends me a video of a jumping spider that day, and I start laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, there's my sign. Huh? And then later I was in the kitchen at night and I hear my daughter start screaming. And I come out and a spider had fallen on her leg. There was a spider on her leg. And it's like, it's not like I saw a spider running across the floor outside. It's that morning I'd asked for it. I thought it was the video that my friend had sent me, which is like, sure. But when it fell on my daughter's leg later that day, I was like, there it is. It's undeniable. And so that stuff happens to me all the time, but I'm
Yeah.
open to it. I'm asking
Right,
for it.
right,
I
right, right.
am connecting to it. And there's certain people who I've lost in my life where I might not get signs from them, but then that's because I'm closed off from them. Like I will not be open to certain things. So it's just really about if our choice to be open to what is possible.
What I'm hearing too is our energy. Our energy.
Yeah.
So it's our emotional, which is energy and motion. It's our emotional connection to that. I invite the guests listening to this, and I've done this before. If you look back on your life, just look back on your life, wherever you are at today, and look at situations. And do you see that gift there? I look
Mhm.
back on my life. I've had so
Mhm.
many signs, but also being open to believing and trusting.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna share one story here, and then we're gonna close this. But I had 3 kids, single mom, wintertime, no money. My school was starting. I was living off of grants and loans and all that stuff to put myself through school, and I was going to write a hot check because the money was coming in Monday, and this was Saturday or Friday or Saturday. So I went into the grocery store, and it's cold. The kids are hilariously playing and happy and laughing, and I walked down this aisle, and there was a perfectly folded wad of money in the middle of the aisle. I picked it up, put it in my pocket, went back to the car, and the kids were going, well, what do we do? I said, just be quiet. I need to think. Do I turn the money in or do I buy my kids food? It was $60, three $20 bills that were all nicely folded, sitting in the aisle. Now,
It
is
was
that
for
a
you.
sign?
It was for you.
I know that.
You took it, right?
I took it and I bought my kids
Yeah.
food, but I
Yeah.
didn't tell them what I was doing. Just needed to
Yeah.
think about it. What's the
Yeah.
right thing? And I'm like, no, buy your kids food.
Yes.
And so that's
Yes.
exactly what I did. But those are signs, and people look back on your life because this is your intuition, this is your signs. What does that say? And I love the fact that you wrote a story, because when we write, the knowing comes out of us. We
Yes.
wake up to a lot of stuff and you can look back on that. Oh,
I feel
Christine,
like,
this has
yeah,
been beautiful.
thank you so much. This is wonderful. I feel like we could talk for like an extra few hours, but I know we're done for time. So
Everybody, I'm going to post your book and your podcast, her book, Get Tapped In, and her podcast, The Curious Soul. I love that in the
thank you.
show notes.
Thank you so much,
Christine,
Karen.
thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing me.
No, thank you.
All right.